And I think both leaders, the president and the prime minister, have signaled that they want to get back to a more, normal engagement. There's been some reports in the Indian news media that the two leaders may meet on the margins of the ASEAN summit in Malaysia in late October. If that is so, I feel very good about that, because I've been saying throughout August consistently and repeatedly that the best way for friends to work through their differences is privately. And so I hope that they will spend more time talking on the phone privately. I hope that the various leaders of both governments in the cabinet will talk to each other. Well, this is where a trade agreement would be a win-win for America and India, because the truth of the matter is our companies, American companies, invest very heavily in India, and Indian companies are also investing very heavily in America. In this era of rising geostrategic tensions, it makes sense for our companies to be cross-investing and cross-employing in both geographies. Companies have to make reasonable long-term bets on what is most strategically smart for them. And Indian companies clearly are very interested in the United States, in manufacturing, in minerals, in so many other different areas. So a trade deal sends a very powerful psychological signal to both American and Indian investors that these are geographies that are safe, that they are recommended by both governments, that there is a constructive framework for long-term investments to be made. And frankly, where better for America and India than to invest in each other's countries, given the rising geostrategic tensions of our 21st century. I think that both Delhi and Washington could use the activities of the past few months to sort of introspect about one another and to realize that things have fundamentally changed, both in India and how India views itself around the world as a rising global player, and also in the way that America views itself in Trump 2, in a very MAGA-inflected kind of outlook on world affairs, that Delhi and Washington cannot afford to be on autopilot, like as if things have not changed in either country. All kinds of other new technologies. If the US and India can get it right, we can actually get a lot done together. But I think we need to strip away the rhetoric that has kind of puffed us up a bit too much. We need to avoid believing our own hype in both directions. And we need to sort of look really at what can be done together. Well, India is a proud and sovereign nation. It can conduct its foreign policy as it wishes. The prime minister is a very wise and established leader, and he's been at it for quite some time. I would say that for America, long term, there is no doubt that we need to shore ourselves up as we face an era of rising global great power competition. So, whatever happens between India and China, I would think that the people-to-people, business-to-business, scientific innovation relationship between the United States and India, not only being enormous and multifaceted, is going to continue to be a driving force for positive change in the Indo-Pacific for many, many years to come, regardless of the diplomacy of the moment or the symmetry of the moment. At the end of the day, there are Indians living in this country in the millions, Indian Americans, and that creates a glue that I think very few can rival. Want our country to succeed. We want to make sure that it can be prosperous and happy and secure and strong, and that we should do a good job of articulating not only that message, which is so critical about America being strong and prosperous and happy, but also the relevance of the Indian American community to advancing that goal. To the scientific and academic leadership, the business leadership, the many, hundreds of thousands of Indian Americans in the medical profession helping keep Americans healthy. We ought to be more unified in our voice. Right now, I think there's a lack of coherence a little bit in what we say. The US and India, the two leading democracies on earth, ought to have a strong and mutually relevant relationship. And that's the key. We have to be a bit dispassionate about the rhetoric, strip it away, and look at the reality. What does India do for us that's relevant to America and America's happiness? What can America do for India that is relevant to India and to our shared happiness? If we can be dispassionate and come up with that analysis, I think it'll frankly cut more ice in Washington than just a lot of soaring rhetoric.